Hello everybody. Today's video is a little bit different. I get a lot of questions, as I'm sure you're aware, on my channel, in the comments on the videos. Okay. And I try to answer every comment I get, if I can. Sometimes though I don't see them, because the way YouTube works and the way they notify me of comments is a bit hit and miss. Most of them come through, but if it's a particularly busy day, they seem to just skip over them. So if you've asked me a question and I haven't answered it, sorry, it's not intentional. But that brings me to the topic of this video, which is the biggest question I get asked, or one of the biggest. Most of the questions I get asked are about the climate of where these birds are, believe it or not. So people ask what I do with the birds in winter. So people often ask, do I bring the birds inside in winter? I'm trying to video you and you're coming and landing on my shoulder. Do I bring them inside in winter? Do I cover them, curtains or anything, screens outside? How do I protect them from snow and frosts and that sort of thing? So this is basically a video about the climate of Auckland. This aviary is located in Auckland, New Zealand. Now it's not that cold here. It's not that hot, but it's not that cold. So it's currently winter here. Pull your head up. You can barely see you. Currently winter here in Auckland in the middle of August. It's coming towards the end of winter, sort of September's the last sort of month where it's cold and wet and miserable. Auckland doesn't get that cold in winter. It does not snow here. Okay? So for all the people that wonder what I do with the birds when it snows, don't have to worry about it. It doesn't snow. What's the matter, Tweety Pie? Just want to have a talk? Yeah. And the average sort of winter temperature in Auckland is about 14 degrees Celsius, which is 57 Fahrenheit. See, most days at the moment in the middle of August are around, the highs are sort of 14's pretty low, and 16 sort of average, and 18 if you're really lucky, sort of thing. And the lows overnight are not that cold. You might get down to, well, sort of 5 degrees Celsius is pretty cold. Anything below that is sort of quite rare, though not uncommon. Anything below 14's pretty cold high for Auckland. I think the lowest high we had was a couple of years ago. That was 9 degrees. That's 9 degrees as a high Celsius, and Auckland is as cold as it gets, sort of thing. Overnight though, of course, it does get colder than that. We do get frosts, but we don't get a lot of frosts. A few years ago, I mean, I'm into palms, as you probably aware here. This is a Bismarckia nobilis, very cool palm, very slow growing in New Zealand. I'm into palms, and so I was very much concerned with frosts, because frosts damage a lot of palms very easily. And one year we got 14 frosts, and that's the worst we've had in this house. That was about 1994. No, 94? No, after that. What am I saying, 1994? 1994 was a bad year for frost, but I wasn't living in this house. I can't remember what year it was. Maybe it was 2004. 2004 sounds more likely. Anyway, this year we have had about 3 or 4 frosts. We had a couple of days last week which were pretty cold and pretty bad. But the ultimate lowest temperature recorded ever in Auckland is minus 3.9 degrees Celsius, or about 25 Fahrenheit. When it does get down to those sort of temperatures, which is extremely rare, once every few years, the temperature doesn't stay like that for very long. It'll be like that for at about 5 or 6 in the morning, and then by 9 o'clock in the morning, 9 or 10 in the morning, it's likely to be 10 to 15 degrees, so it changes dramatically. It's not cold for long. So we don't get many frosts and we don't get snow, so I don't take the birds inside. I don't have to cover them. I did cover the cage, the aviary, when we first got them, but there's a bit more greenery and things in here now for them to hide in and keep warm, and they snuggle up together and things like that, and it just doesn't get that cold, even for these Australian birds like cockatiels. Everybody thinks they come from a hot place, and they do, but they're also in deserty places. Overnight in Australia it gets really cold. So that's winter. In winter though, we do have a lot of rain. Auckland gets rain fairly steadily all year round. Sorry, just distracted by some birds having a scrap outside the aviary. It does rain pretty steadily all year round, but more in winter. And the average rainfall over a year is around 12 to 1300 millimetres of rain in a year. Most of that coming in June and July, in the middle of winter. But even February, which is the driest month usually, can occasionally be awfully wet. But at least it's warm in February. So February is the warmest month in New Zealand and in Auckland. The highest temperature recorded in Auckland was in February. It was a few years ago, I don't know, maybe 5 or 6 years ago, which was 30.5 degrees Celsius, which is 86.9 Fahrenheit. So not that hot, but unfortunately Auckland is surrounded by water and the humidity in Auckland is horrible. So temperatures always feel a lot worse, or a lot more than what they are. The average humidity in Auckland, the lowest average for any month, relative humidity, is 77%. So she's a pretty humid place. It's not uncommon to have, yesterday or the day before was 100% humidity, and that's not uncommon. To get humidity below 60% is quite rare. So it's a very humid place. So it's 30 degrees. It's so sticky and horrible. The day that it was 30.5 degrees, I was at home and it just looked like fog everywhere because there was just so much moisture in the air and it was just so hot and sticky and awful. You just walked outside and you were just sopping wet. It was very weird. But the average temperature usually in summer is 23 degrees. Often January and February can just sort of bounce between sort of 23 degrees Celsius and 26 degrees Celsius for like 2 or 3 months, which is pretty good. 23 degrees is my perfect temperature as far as I'm concerned. So the average rainy days, sort of in July, you get 16 out of 30 odd days. So you look, every second day is rain basically. Whereas in February it's sort of every third to fourth day. So there's a lot of rain in Auckland. But it's a bit 4 seasons in one day sort of thing. And if you think that song's written about Auckland, well, it's not actually. It's written about Melbourne, which is certainly far more 4 seasons than Auckland is. But Auckland, if it rains, just wait 5 minutes because the sun will come out. It never rains for long, usually. So Auckland gets about 2,000 hours of sunshine a year. I'm not sure how that compares annually to other parts of the world and other big cities. Just out of curiosity, if you want to know, Auckland's population is about 1.5 million. I think that's about it. Not very hot, not very cold. Auckland's temperatures from day to day only change by a couple of degrees. It's not somewhere like Melbourne, which might have 45 one day and 15 the next. Auckland will be, if it's 23 degrees today, it's only going to be 22 or 24 tomorrow, sort of thing. It doesn't fluctuate much at all. To get a fluctuation of more than sort of 3 degrees would be very rare. It's a very gentle curve, our temperature range throughout the year. There's a lot of sirens going past. Traffic stopped out the front. Better go check what's going on out there. Sorry, I got diverted there. There's been a large accident outside, just up the road. Lots of police, ambulance and fire engines. Somebody's not going to have a very good weekend. It's throwing me off now. What else was I going to say? Oh yeah, daylight savings. So we have daylight savings here in New Zealand, and so in Auckland, in winter, as it is at the moment, in the middle of winter, it sort of gets dark at night. It's sort of dark between 5:30 and 6 at night, and light at about, probably about 7 in the morning. Whereas in summer, with the hour change, it's sort of light at about 6:30 in the morning, or even 6 in the morning, and light until around 9:30 at night, which is very good for the birds. Hey, plenty of time to play. Yeah. Hello, Fry. What you doing? What you doing? Come on. Come on. You can go see Charlie. Yeah, so hopefully that helps you work out a bit more about the climate of Auckland and where these birdies live. So you may have heard a couple of years ago, that we had snow in Auckland for the first time in 70 years. Don't believe it. Poppycock. I drove all around Auckland that day, and it was a nice sunny day. It was about 10 degrees Celsius, and I drove around West Auckland, over the shore, went into town, never saw anything close to snow. There was supposedly little patches somewhere, and it supposedly snowed in Auckland City, but it never really touched the ground, so I don't think that really counts. You couldn't see it, so it's not snow. There was a tiny little bit of it visible maybe on the top of the Waitaki Ranges that a couple of people took photos of, But basically, it didn't snow. It doesn't snow in Auckland. It did, however, a few years ago when I was driving home from work one night, there was grapple, which I'd never ever heard of until I experienced it. Grapple hail, which is sort of like, I guess you could compare it to a slushy drink raining down on you. Sort of just hail that's the consistency of the slushy, just falling to bits. And that's the closest thing I've ever seen to snow in Auckland. That is quite impressive, actually. 10th of August 2015, Auckland. And there'll be a video of that at the end of this video if you want to have a look at that, or down in the old, just down here in the description. I know nobody ever reads that, but it's there. Maybe I'll put it in the comments. Anyway, thanks for watching. It doesn't snow in Auckland. The birdies are all good. It's nice and warm for them. Middle of winter, so at the moment it's a nice sunny day. And even when there's a frost as well, if there's a frost and it gets down to say 0 Celsius or -1 degree Celsius, hey, normally means it's going to be a beautiful sunny day. Normally we'll get up to 15, 16 degrees before lunch, so it's not cold for very long. Okay, I'll see you guys next time. Thanks for watching. Comment down below, ask more questions if you wish, and I will see you on the next one. Hey Charlie boy. Hey Charlie, what you doing? Left, right. Bye bye guys.